A coworker walking through the Dynabrade Corporation parking lot in Clarence, New York, noticed something wrong. A truck hadn't moved since Friday night. Inside sat 22-year-old Brian Barrett, dead, shot 3 times at close range in the neck and arm with a .30 caliber rifle. His body had been there for 2 days before anyone found him. Barrett was a Star Point High School graduate, a SUNY Erie student, a former athlete his old coach called a gentleman. He worked the line at Dynabrade for extra income. He had no criminal record, no known enemies. Investigators had almost nothing to go on. No witnesses, no obvious suspects. So they turned to his personal computer, hoping for a lead. What they found were hundreds of pages of instant messages, sexually explicit and increasingly hostile. 2 usernames appeared again and again. One was Tal Hot Blonde. The other was Marine Sniper. Neither name meant anything yet, but somewhere in those message logs was the reason Brian Barrett was dead. Months earlier, before any of this reached a police file, a figure had been building a second life online. On the gaming site Pogo.com, this figure created a persona, an 18-year-old soldier named Tommy about to deploy to Iraq. In truth, this person was 46, married with 2 teenage daughters, a Sunday school teacher, president of a swim club. None of that existed in the chat room. There, only Tommy existed, and Tommy was falling for a girl named Jessie. Jessie called herself an 18-year-old high school senior from West Virginia. She wasn't real either. She was Mary Sheeler, a married mother in her mid-40s, using her own teenage daughter's photographs and identity to sustain the relationship. Gifts were mailed. Letters were exchanged. The 2 online personas escalated into obsession, and neither side ever met the other in person. Then a package addressed to Tommy was intercepted, not by Tommy, but by his real wife. She read it. She wrote back to Jessie herself, revealing her husband's true age and the fact that he was already married. Most triangles would have ended there. This one didn't. Sheeler, still posing as Jessie, went looking for answers and reached out to a man mentioned in the chat logs. A co-worker of the real man behind Marine Sniper. His name was Brian Barrett. That single message pulled him into something he never asked to be part of. Barrett and Sheeler began talking, and the figure behind Marine Sniper started watching the woman he believed loved him turn her attention towards someone else. Someone who, unlike everyone in this triangle, had never lied about who he was. In the days that followed, Erie County investigators would later uncover written threats, explicit and direct, sent to both Barrett and to Sheeler. Then on September 15, 2006, those threats stopped being words. Barrett finished his shift, climbed into his truck, and was shot 3 times before he could drive away. For weeks afterward, whoever pulled the trigger said nothing. There was no confession, no slip, no obvious trail leading back to a name. When police finally zeroed in on a suspect, a co-worker at Dynabrade, he denied everything. He claimed he'd been out to dinner with his daughters the night Barrett was killed, nowhere near the factory. But detectives kept working the digital trail. Line by line, the chat logs painted a different picture: an obsessive correspondence, an escalating jealousy, and threats sent to the victim just days before his death. On November 27, 2006, the co-worker was arrested and charged with murder. His name was Thomas Montgomery. For months, Montgomery maintained his innocence, but the evidence against him kept mounting until in August 2007, he pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter, avoiding a murder trial that could have ended in a life sentence. Then, on the day he was set to be sentenced, Montgomery tried to take the plea back. He told the court his own attorney had coerced him into it. State Supreme Court Justice Penny Wolfgang wasn't convinced. She removed his lawyer, appointed a new one, and pushed the case forward. By then, Montgomery's world had already collapsed. His wife filed for divorce. His daughters wrote to him in jail, saying they never wanted to see him again. Montgomery slashed his wrist in his cell and was placed under suicide watch. On November 27, 2007, exactly 1 year after his arrest, Montgomery stood before Justice Wolfgang for sentencing. Prosecutor Frank Sedita pushed for the maximum, 25 years, calling him the most manipulative defendant he'd ever prosecuted. Barrett's father addressed the court directly, saying he and his wife couldn't comprehend how something this evil had happened over simple jealousy. Wolfgang handed down 20 years in state prison, with 5 years of post-release supervision, calling the killing a direct consequence of the misuse of the internet. Mary Sheeler, the woman whose deception had set everything in motion, walked away completely free. In 2006, using a fake identity online to manipulate 2 grown men wasn't a crime under New York law. No charges were ever filed against her. Her marriage ended anyway. Her own daughter, whose name and photographs had been used without her knowledge, cut her off for good. Separately, Barrett's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Montgomery, Sheeler, and Dynabrade Corporation itself. Thomas Montgomery served roughly 17 years of his 20-year sentence. On January 11, 2024, he walked out of Wyoming Correctional Facility in Attica, New York, a free man. He remains under supervision until 2029, barred from the internet, barred from contacting any victims or their families, living under a strict curfew. Brian Barrett was the only person in that chat room who never lied about who he was. It's the only reason he was ever found, and it's the only reason he's the one who ended up dead.